Hey, Chris, you ready to rock this?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can now, yes.
All right, perfect. Yep, we can go ahead and get started. So it is 11 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started. For those of you who are still coming in, please feel free to answer the two poll questions down at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Brian. If you guys can take a few minutes, even while you guys are listening, to answer those poll questions, that'd be great. Brian, if you're ready, I can turn it over to you.
Sounds good. Thank you. Well, good morning or good afternoon. And I think it's just for the number one question we always get asked. This session is being recorded. So if anybody has any questions on that, it is being recorded and will be available on our website and also on YouTube later as well. My email address is on the screen right now. I thought I'd start this webinar a little differently than normal, just to kind of wake us up a little bit. This is a very dense topic. It may not be a full hour, but it's a lot of demos. So I thought I'd start with a more of a lighter feel here. And today's session is all about Power Apps and one of the newest features to Power Apps called Power Apps Portals. And we have some cool, exciting stuff we're going to show today. You'll find my email address on the screen right now, bknight@Pragmatic Works. So if I do miss your question, this is our new platform we're trying today. It's the first webinar in this platform. Please do email me afterwards. I'm happy to help on that as well. So I thought I'd start with a good old-fashioned story here. And there we go. There we go. So let's imagine, for example, you are a county government, and one of the challenges you have is you have way too much paperwork. You have paperwork just mounting, right? In many cases, a lot of counties consider going digital, going to PDFs. And you'll see a lot of cases like you're seeing on a screen right now, a PDF that gets printed and then signed undigitally. So we see a lot of the cases of our biggest violators of going digital are the city governments, sheriff's departments, and those kind of things. So once upon a time, there was a city who had way too much paperwork. And we also had a city manager who hated dealing with people. He just, so we had the worst of all worlds. We had a person that just did not want to deal with people, and we had also a lot of paperwork coming into this guy. Now, we also had, though, a citizen developer. And a citizen developer in this case is a person who is a analyst, county manager maybe, just a line worker who wants to go through and actually make things a lot simpler. So it may not be a full-time .NET developer, but just somebody who's doing this on the side, perhaps. Just like Power BI has citizen BI developer. So our friend here decided to go ahead and make things a lot, bring things to a website. Now, a website typically would involve bringing in a full-time developer, maybe contracting it out. In this case, though, in just a few minutes, in our case, in just less than an hour, we're going to have a website ready where this county or the city, a Pawnee, can recreate their whole workflows and have everything hopefully working towards becoming digital. And this is not going to involve a whole lot of experienced people to do this. So this is going to be, bring everything digital, and everybody hopefully has a good time. So this is what the webinar is all about. Again, my name is Brian Knight. My Twitter handle is @BrianKnight. I'm the founder of Pragmatic Works, and I've also authored about 16 books, mostly on the SQL Server stack, a little bit on Power BI and the Power Platform. And I blog at pragmaticworks.com. And you can also find a whole bunch of YouTube videos. If you go to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/pragmaticworks, you'll find a whole series on Power Apps and how to do it. We have about 45 videos so far that I filmed on Power Apps alone. And there's about 1,000 hours of content of other content as well. Well, as most of you guys noticed, to kind of set us up here, Power Apps is part of the Power Platform, which includes Microsoft Flow for workflow kind of systems. And that's going to be key for our digital transformation, right? We're going to want to make sure that all the paperwork that used to be printed can now be digitalized, but not only be digitized, but also have the ability to increase accountability. So I fill this form out, hit submit, and if nobody responds to that form in X amount of time, maybe Flow starts to bug me about that and raise notifications. Power Apps is for our application building, and we can do things through a number of ways, and I'll show you those ways today. And then lastly, we have Power BI. Power BI, of course, is our analytics platform that most of you guys see today. Wrapping this whole thing is a very important layer, and it's called the CDS, Common Data Services for Apps. Now, this is a really key area for Power Apps. And all the new investment, or a lot of the new investment for the Power Platform, is going into the CDS. All the stuff I'm going to show you today is going to require that you use CDS also. But for example, Power Apps using the AI integration, that's all using CDS. And the reason why they're choosing to do that is it gives you a layer of row level security. It gives you a database platform out of the box. Of course, that database platform, as you can imagine, is in Azure. And what we're going to do is, when you think of CDS, think of it just like a big old Azure database. Now, whether it be a database, whether it be a data lake, it's agnostic. You don't get to see that layer. You don't get to manage it. Microsoft's managing all that for you. But it creates a very citizen developer friendly version of a data model. So if you want an employee entity, you just point to employees and there you go. You have everything you need to get started, and you can of course extend that also. So on the Power App side, Power App's role is to create applications that are friendly to our end users, whether it be through a Canvas application, which is what you're seeing on the screen right now, that pixel perfect kind of reporting, or a model-driven application, which feels a lot like Dynamics. But its goal, when you create an application inside of Power Apps, it works cross-platform, whether it be on a phone, a tablet, or a PC device. It also integrates with things like SharePoint and Dynamics as well. Now, again, we mentioned the common data services. This is a key area that we're going to mention as we get into this. This is basically a big database for you that you can do lots of good stuff with. Now, there are two types of apps we're going to build. We're going to focus on, there's a Canvas application, first of all. That is your pixel perfect kind of application. This is what you typically think of when you think of Power Apps. So Canvas applications allow you to they require a little bit more work. It can connect up to 230 different data sources, and they're adding dozens of them every quarter also. Now, there's two license plans for the Canvas applications, the two core plans that you care about. Power Apps for Office, which if you have an Office 365 subscription, you likely already have Power Apps for Office. This is the base licensing, and it's basically considering, if you have Office, it's kind of considered the free version of Power Apps. It can do Canvas applications. It can connect to a lot of data sources. What it cannot do is connect to some of the premium data sources. So things like Salesforce.com, or even things like MySQL might be considered a premium data source. SQL Server connections, no problem. All day long, you can use the free version of Power Apps. Plan 1 is your first pay level of Power Apps. It's like $7 a user. This is basically where you're going to go through, and you can have connections to things like the CDS, the premium connections. So when you think of Plan 1, think of it like everything you had in the free plan, but now you have premium connections also, and you have better security built into it also. Model-driven applications, these are applications that are going to feel like dynamic. See up here this little workflow that you're seeing right here, where you can do this, then if you successfully do that, then do this, then do this. This is basically escorting somebody through an onboarding process potentially, or escorting a sale from a lead all the way through to an opportunity. So that's what Plan 2 is. Plan 2 is starting at, well, it's not starting at, it's $40 a user a month. And this is for building an application much easier against the common data services. This is not about connecting to 200 data sources, it's about connecting to the common data services. And it's really around think of it like Dynamics. This is really your Salesforce compete. If you're building applications in Salesforce at $120 a user, this is kind of that Salesforce model, but $40 a user. But now we also have a new type of application that's called Power Apps Portals. So this is traditionally on these two sides right here. You can only connect to data sources, about 230 data sources, whether it be on-prem or external. But what the big key around these two pieces was it was really meant for internal users. In other words, you had to be and for my apps, you had to be a pragmaticworks.com user in my Active Directory. For yours, etc., and your company. So it's not really around building apps for external users until now. So Power Apps Portals for our town of Pawnee is going to allow us to create an external website that anonymous users can access, as well as authenticated users can access. It does have things like site level security that says, hey, if you are authenticated with this role, then you can see these pages. If you're not, then you can see these pages. It also is going to host all the forms for collecting data. So things like for the town of Pawnee, Maybe we have a suggestion area, which our friendly city manager is going to go ahead and take. So this is a really key area around Power Apps portals. Now, one of the big key areas is it requires the Common Data Services, CDS. Now, you can get data into it externally, and we'll talk about that in a moment also. So again, CDS allows you to store your data, and it gives you access to a lot of things like row-level security that says, hey, you are the city manager. You can see these extra fields. I'm only the line manager, which means I can only see a fraction of those fields. It also has things like business rules and validation built into it also. And it can be accessible through the entire Power Platform as well as a custom application that you might be building also. So again, think of this just like an Azure database. If you were to build an application back here, you would have to create a database first, right? Create your schema, then you create your app. In this case, generally speaking, the schema is going to be ready for you and you're just going to extend it. Or you might create a custom entity, for example. But things like products and employees and things like issues, those things are already built into this Common Data Services piece, okay? Now, just so we can get on the same vocabulary here, if you're a data person, entities relate to tables. An entity is a table, and inside that you're going to have fields, which are your columns. Now you have access to one-to-many relationships, many-to-many relationships. You can kind of relate these entities together that way. You also can have calculated fields where in this area, maybe for example, I'm ordering a PC, but my responsibility is for 50% of that cost. So I can have a calculated field which basically gives me the cost to the end user in this case. Now this can be imported and synchronized with Power Queries. So in other words, you have a CDS entity, but you really want the data to live inside of Salesforce perhaps, or you have this Access database that's on-premise. Excuse me. So in that example, you can basically synchronize that data with Power Query, where I read the data from Access every day or from Salesforce, and I bring the data over every day to kind of get that employee entity, that product entity, the opportunities all synced up. So even though it's a separate database, it will look like your main core database. Now, there's a really cool row-level security model in here also, where a salesperson can only see his or her own sales, perhaps, if you configure it that way. So there's lots of new models around this, and we'll cover actually building one from scratch. It's a really easy concept, though, once we get into it. You're going to find that this is, unlike data modeling in the big boy world, this is actually very, very easy here. Now, this came originally, when you think about it, from kind of concept of Salesforce.com, where but in this world, the Dynamics entities. Before, you had the Dynamics world over here, and then you had Power Apps over here. Now, what they've done is, and in Salesforce, same thing. They have a database called Apex database. So the same kind of concept they brought into CDS and Power Apps. Essentially, what they're going to do is they took all the entities from Dynamics, all those custom entities that you have today. So, for example, products and opportunities and those kind of things. They got brought over. And now you have one system to serve them all. And you're going to hear this term CDS, CDS, CDS. They are going all in on Common Data Services. But this gives you one place to manage. So whether I have data in Dynamics or whether I have data in Power Apps, I have one place to go to, and you can build ISV applications on this as well. All right. Now, if you are a Power Apps user today, there's one more thing coming out here soon. Now that the Power Apps portals is in preview, however, it's expected to be released around the October timeframe, by the way. So not very long away. Now, also, though, there is external access for your existing applications as well. So if you have a Power App and you want to expose it to partners, perhaps, somebody outside of your domain, maybe it's a contractors or whatever, you can actually, coming up very soon, you'll be able to share applications with external users that are just your normal Canvas applications also. So that's a new announcement they made just a few weeks ago. That is a really cool thing as well they can do. Now, the number one question I'm going to get asked, I'm sorry, it's not in the chat window yet, but I am watching a chat window. Oh, actually, there's a question section here. Let me double check and make sure I don't have questions there. All right. Did you realize your mic is on? Oh, it's all about the mics and all that. Okay, cool. Okay, gotcha. Okay, so one question here from Kevin. is about the CDS and the licensing requirements for it. Yes, P1 is the requirements for the Plan 1, at least, is the requirements for CDS. If you're on Power Apps for Office, you will have to get the P1 license. And you're going to find it's included in a number of different options now from Microsoft. You can also license CDS a number of other ways as well. But for Power Apps purposes, Plan 1 is required. Plan 2 gives you model-driven applications on top of the CDS. So thanks for that question, Kevin. And the number one question I generally get asked right about now is about the licensing. How much does this darn thing cost? Well, they've also announced a number of other things around Power Apps and licensing as of this last month also. Again, I'll give them a caveat. I am not a licensing expert. Talk to Microsoft and figure out what they'll tell you. But I just want to give you the options that they've told the public, so you at least know that there's some new options that you have available to you. So with that said, here's my caveated answer to that question. Now, what you're used to is the internal users. Well, this is you license it part of Office, Power Apps for Office, or P1 or P2. P1 is about $7 a user list price, and P2 is about $40 a user. That's what we're used to. That still will exist in the future. Now, there's also a new licensing model for licensing it on an app basis. So if you want to give a whole bunch of external users and partners access to your app, you can actually license it $10 a user a month per app. So this is more for your external people. Now, on the Power Apps portals, you can license it on a login basis, or you can go per page view like basis. So this is you basically buy a bundle of page views, and that's $100 for 100,000 page views, excuse me. Or you can say, hey, I want to license my authenticated users and have you manage that and license it that way. So again, I won't be able to answer a whole lot of questions around that, but I wanted to kind of give you a grid to kind of get you spark some ideas around that. And you can find this licensing on the Microsoft website. I do some serious digging to find it, but you'll find it on my blog as well. All right. So with that now said, let's get into our demo. We have one more slide is all. But we're going to show now how to build our Pawnee website. So we are going to start by building a CDS entity. We're going to create the site. We're going to configure the darn site. We're going to secure it. And we're also going to put a form up there that you can access and I can access. So let's start by exiting this. And I went to make.powerapps.com. Now, when I go there, you'll see a new section that's brand new as of about 3 weeks ago. And that is this. You typically can create a Canvas application right here. You have a model-driven application. And then the new option that you're seeing is this portal from a blank preview. Now, they also have some templates that are coming as well that you're going to find are much, much sexier than what we're going to see here. But this is going to be a pretty terrible looking site. So I'll give you a heads up on that. So when I create this, you get one per environment. You'll see I have it in my environments up top here. That's why I'm getting this error you're seeing. But all you'll do is you give it a name me, and then you'll give it an address of some sort. So I'll do, Pawnee Commons. Now, one note, you'll see that I have pawneecommons.powerappsportals.com. The first question I always get asked is, can that be at pawnee.gov? Absolutely. You can have this like forms.pawnee.gov, for example, or parksandrec.pawnee.gov. You can most certainly do that also. This is going to resemble a lot like your WordPress sites if you're familiar with WordPress. So once you do that, now if you had not created a common data services model, it would ask us this time to go ahead and create that CDS database also and specify what currency are you going to be in, what language do you want to be in, and so on. I'm going to hit cancel right now because I've already created this. Now, the first time you create this, it might take it a good 25 minutes, 20 minutes to create your first Power Apps portal. Once you do that, though, you can drop and already create a site very, very quickly. It's only that first time that actually matters. So I'm going to go ahead and first of all open up a preview mode, edit the mode, excuse me. There we go. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Let me go back one more time. Okay. There we go. All right, so let me go back here again. Oh, I created two. That's all right, whatever. Let me go back one more time here. Make.powerapps.com. And I was going to show you two modes here. One is going to be the admin mode, and one is going to be the end user mode. So I'll open up that as well. So I created Pawnee.powerapps www.powerappsportals.com. So it's Pawnee spelled this way, powerappsportals.com. We have 3 views I'm going to show you. One is just a good old-fashioned my homepage here. Okay. Now it knows I'm signed in right now, so I'm seeing some special stuff that you guys probably are not seeing. And you're welcome to go there, by the way. Also, we're going to be kind of making some changes here and kind of looking at what it looks like. You see, first of all, I'm authenticated in. Let me go ahead and sign out so you can see kind of core mode here. All right, there we go. So I'm signed out right now. I'm seeing just a core website that does not look very pretty, but it is a good starting point right now. You get a couple of sample pages that are out of the gate here. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a brand new page. I'm going to do that in my edit mode that you see right here. So now I'm going to go to designer mode. So designer mode is going to give me access to go ahead and customize this. Oh, let me go ahead and refresh this. Looks like it's actually thinking, well, there it goes. Okay, there we go. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and customize this now and make it a little bit prettier. Still gonna look a pretty, I don't want to spend an hour making the site look really nice right now, but we'll get the idea when I'm all done. So let's go ahead and first start by changing our logo here. So I'm gonna go ahead and go up top here, and you'll notice it actually is giving me some information. Hey, what logo do you want to use? Do you want to point to an external one? I'll go ahead and point to an external one. No, I'll actually go internal here. Let me upload an image. There we go. Okay, and I'll point to Pawnee. Get my town seal here. There we go. Okay, so it's going to upload the image. It's going to change out the logo here, and we'll resize it accordingly here. Of course, it's going to look pretty darn ugly right now, but let's go ahead and. Surprised I got nobody that's a fan of Parks and Rec in the audience, I guess. That's one of those Netflix shows I can watch a million times, and no matter what day it is, and rewatch the episode over and over again. So, all right, let's go ahead and say, let's go and change out some text here, and we'll stop with this here, but we'll say, welcome to Pawnee. Whoa, I hit the wrong button there. Sorry about that. Okay, sorry about that. Parks and Rec team, citizen site, something like that. Okay, good enough. And I'm not sure why this opened up over here. Let me get rid of that. Okay. And of course, we can change this. We can, of course, go in here and wipe out all this text here. But one of the things you may want to do is we may want to go through and actually change. We're going to wipe that out here. We can notice up here, first of all, our pages are on the top left. And this enables you to go through and actually create new pages, which we'll do in a moment here. But we can also go through and look at components. Now, these components are where we're going to go through and drag an image over, for example, or add a form or iframes. This is pretty rudimentary right now, but you can customize everything through good old-fashioned HTML if you wish as well. So let's go ahead and just slap an image in here to kind of make it look a little prettier. There we go. All right. And it's sluggish because the webinar platform's eating up a little bit of CPU now, I imagine. There we go. All right, so we have our image now in. Again, this is not going to be the prettiest site in the world, but we'll go with it. And let me go ahead and get my image I'm going to slap in there. Okay. And I'll point to an external image this time. And we'll just go ahead and paste that in. Okay. Now, once that comes in, we'll click outside of it, and we can resize this however we want. And we'll stop at the formatting there, but you get the idea. There's our Parks and Rec team. And let's go ahead then and save that. So you'll notice right now it says saving in the bottom. It kind of automatically saves this on a regular basis. Now, in some of the pages case, we'll get a source code editor where we actually can look at the HTML behind the scenes and modify the HTML however we wish. So we can save that however we wish. Okay, with that now done, we should hopefully be able to, oh, did I actually undo my image? I may have just undid my image by accident. Okay, I undid my image by accident. Sorry about that. All right, paste that in again. And you'll find that the saving kind of happens automatically. However, it is a little sluggish sometimes, actually showing in preview mode. So this preview mode here works great, and it says saving down right here. But you'll find in this case, it is preview. This whole platform is preview. So if I were to go over to here and hit refresh, you'll see that. And if you go on your site, for example, and hit refresh, that some of my stuff has been changed, and some of my stuff is waiting for the save to happen. So it kind of is a little farther behind than what I'd like to see it in this case. So you'll see it's still saving in the bottom right here. Okay, so who knows what it's doing down there, but it's probably the fact that we're all on the same site right now. With that now done, we're ready to go ahead and do our next stage. So our next stage is I want to go ahead and turn on, I want to create a new page, and I want to go ahead and lock that page down eventually also. So let's go over to our pages, and let's go ahead and look under sample pages. You'll see a list of pages we already have. One thing that's interesting, by the way, you'll see I have a blank page with title. However, over here, when I go over this, blank page with title is not there. And that's because I'm doing some basic authentication to make sure that only certain people see that page. So once we authenticate, you'll be able to see that page. So just a quick heads up on that. That's why you're not seeing everything I'm seeing. But it does have the ability to do that. So we'll show that security in a moment here. So under sample pages, I'm going to add a child page. There we go. And then it's going to give me a new designer here in a moment. There we go. We'll call this just register complaint, maybe. How about that? Okay. Okay, come on. There it goes. Okay, it took a second here. All right, so I'll call this register complaint. And then I will go ahead and give that a better name here. Complaint registration, something like that. Okay, there we go. Oh, and I mistyped it, but you get the idea. Okay, so we'll ignore our URL right now, but you get the idea. There's a whole slew of templates that are available to you that you have access to, and that is available to you if you decide to go and modify those templates. So you have a very precise control of all of the code here. So the other thing you can do as well is exactly the same place as Microsoft. Okay, so there we go. The other thing we could also do, by the way, is we could modify the templates and add and create our own. So once we create a company standard, we can then modify that template over and over and over again. So our next step is we want to go ahead and create an entity for our users to log their complaints into. So to do that, I'm going to go back to Power Apps to make that powerapps.com. And our next step is to go over to our data here. And this is where you're going to see all the entities inside the CDS, Common Data Services. So those entities allow you to extend them if you wish and create new fields, or we can create a whole new entity if you want. Most of the ones you're seeing here are standard entities that are available inside of Power Apps. So you're seeing the AI ones here, but you're seeing a whole slew of standard ones like currency and orders, and most of these I have not even touched. They're just the team here and the tasks that are available, and these are all stuff that just get automatically added for you, and you can extend those. So I'm going to create a brand new one here just to kind of show you how it looks, and we'll stop once I'm done here, but we'll just go ahead and call this one suggestions, and our display name will be suggestions. There we go. So our display name can be whatever you wish. So in our case, we are going to give it a primary key field name, which is suggestions in our case. And we were going to go ahead and go to more settings, and you can see you actually can add in, types of entities. You can actually add collaboration inside this, so you and I can be working on the same one. And we can also turn on attachments. So I'm not going to do that right now. We're going to keep it very, very simple. I'll hit create. And then after we do that, thank you, Christine. Your coworker actually got it at least. Okay. All right, I got a few Parks and Rec fans out there. Thank you. I was getting worried that I built these slides last night. I was getting worried that it would go for nobody would get it. All right, so here we go. We're seeing the suggestion right here is our primary key. So I'm going to make it instead an auto number, and I'll give it a prefix, some kind of prefix to start with, and I'll call this just SUG for suggestion -101, 102, and so on and so on. But this is how you can do it. You can make it a number. You can make it like an invoice number, INV dash, or whatever you wish. This will be a required field. I'll hit done. We then, if I go and actually add a new entity, check out some of the stuff we can do now when I go add a new field. Okay. So when I add this new field, we'll call this just, how about just call this a name? We'll be easy here. And this is all the stuff we have access to right here. Things like our email addresses and phone numbers are fields that it understands and recognizes. So name will just be a text field though. You also can look up against other fields. You can do a time date stamp, or we can go through and do a lookup into another entity that's already, look for people, for example. All right, there we go. Let's add one last field here. And I'll call this just suggestion. There we go, which is a complaint, of course. So suggestion, or I'll call it ID and name or something like that. I already have a primary key that's called that. All right, this time it's going to be a multi-row. So I'm going to kind of scroll down here, multi-line text. There we go. It is, of course, required, but we'll leave it alone right now. It's the maximum number of digits. And then you can keep on going, creating more and more. But you get the idea, right? It's pretty simple. This is basically doing the job of what we would traditionally do by inside of Management Studio and creating new entities and all that. So let's keep it simple like that. We'll go ahead and just have those two extra columns. We, of course, will create more as time goes on. What's the status of this? What's so that? We can create relationships right here. We can also create business rules that say you have to put a phone number in. You have to do this. The cool thing about this, we're creating these rules in this one area. And after we create them in this one area, it is going to work across all platforms. So whether I create a model-driven application or whether I create an application here in a portal, it's going to work beautifully for me. So our views are what we want this data to look like once we're actually in the model-driven application. Our forms, of course, just like it sounds, are going to be forms that we can lay out however we wish. So if you want to lay out that form, you just go pick on the main one here and hit Edit Form, and we can drag stuff over however we wish to make it a better experience for our end users. So for example, that multi-row idea column I had. This is our form. Oh, come on. Okay, it's coming up right now. And okay, the rubber dollars are hitting me up hard now. Okay, now here we go. It's going to pull the form up, and this is where you're basically building the application, all the logic behind the application. So for example, I'm going to drag over the idea, drag that over, and no matter what type of application I use, this is now going to be available. So I had name. Let me go ahead and drag name over. Okay, we can, of course, reposition. Let me zoom in a little closer so you guys can see that also. It's at 44%. I can barely see it, so I know you guys can't see it also. There we go. All right, so we can see things like the idea column. You know, what do you make it read only? Do you have all sorts of formatting inside this? What kind of height do you want to put on that? I'll make this a good 40 character height. I should, of course, make this a little bit better. We can, of course, name. We can make that bigger. It's all up to you. This is basically where you're going to go through and tweak all this stuff here. So we'll stop here, but you get the idea, right? All right. We can also say on the phone, what kind of fields do you like also? And one thing to note here is everything I'm doing right now, after I save this and publish it, is responsive from day one also. So it's going to work on the phone and on the PC and on tablets. And it'll shrink itself down. Just to kind of show you what I mean here, let me go over here again. It's this lame-o site that I've got. Let me refresh this. And as I skinny this guy down, oh, there we go. Just to kind of show you what I mean, I'll kind of skinny this down to a little, and you'll notice the menu, first of all, went to the hamburger menu. So everything is responsive from day one. So there's nothing to worry about from that perspective. Okay. So now I've created our form, and that form is not very pretty. I only have 2 fields right now, and you'll see it right here. Okay. I saved and I published it to get it out to the server now. So now that's available to my end users. I can, of course, put new labels on it to make it more, user friendly. And maybe I call it now, what is your idea? And when I publish this off, it will now look like, you'll see the label now as a cleaner label now as well. All right, with that now done, let's go into deeper. Oh, and I still didn't keep the field height here for some reason. Let me make that 80. There we go. And it keeps on resetting that bad boy. No, that's fine. We'll just go with it. Save and then publish. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so with that now done, let's use this form inside of our Power Apps portal. So to do that, I'm going to hop back over to my Power Apps portal. I'm going to drop that form right where you're seeing my mouse right now. And to do that, we'll go back to Components, and we will go in and we'll drag over a form. I'll just click on the form here. Now, it's not going to give you a very good preview of what this form looks like, unfortunately. So, but it will at least give us going. If I just hopping back and forth between the form mode and then going over to the view here. Now, let's guess, do you want to create a new form? Well, yeah, I want to go and create a brand new one. The reason why it's giving us this option is because we can reuse an existing one, or we can use this, create a new one here. This form is not the same form as what we saw before. In other words, if I go over to here and I pick my entity here of suggestions, so somewhere down here in the S's, we'll see suggestions. See how many entities they give you here? There's a lot of stuff inside of this that you have access to. So somewhere here, if I can read my alphabet here, it's going to be suggestions. Okay. There it is. Oh, no. I thought I called it suggestions. Maybe I must not have. Okay. All right. Somewhere in here. Oh, you know what happened? I bet you I haven't. I need to refresh this probably. Let me go ahead and just refresh the screen. Yep. So I came to the site and I built the form in a different window here. It probably hasn't. The form is actually over here, and I've already published it, so it should be available now. But my guess is because I didn't actually refresh the screen, it's probably not available there. So let's go ahead and fix that now. All right, with that now done, hopefully, let's see how we do. It's always and as you see right now, the webinar going on, it of course slows down immensely here. Okay, so looks like I'm good on questions right now, so I can't do any tap dancing around that, can I? All right, so while we're waiting for that to come up, while we're waiting for preview to come up, there's actually one question that came in here is exactly the same as MicrosoftPortals.com. Yes, essentially they've taken a bookmark from the Dynamics portals that used to happen. That would be at the same URL, MicrosoftPortals.com. So they've taken that and they kind of modified it with this. So absolutely. And it looks like my stupid save there did not go through. This is one of the quirks sometimes that just really gets you here. I wish they had an explicit save button sometimes. Let me go over to external URL, paste that in again, hit enter, and you'll see immediately you'll start to hopefully save here in a moment. Okay. There it goes. Okay, and it did say save that time. That's good. So I'm seeing the word saved versus not. So that's good. At least we got that going now. So I'll go ahead and resize this a little bit. And then let's go over to our other page. So back to pages again. The refreshing must have messed me up here, it looks like. Sample pages. And I think it was called Register Complaint. Okay. But now I bet you, because it's saved, I bet you if I refresh on this one, we should now see our team now picture. There we go. Our team picture is now showing up. All right. So once this opens up again, so while this is opening up, oh, okay, never mind. It was faster than I thought. All right, let's drop that form in one more time here. Sorry about that. I'll go place it where I want to go. Go to my components. Go over to my form. Click form. It's going to drop in the form. There we go. And then I'm going to, again, create a brand new one. It's got little entities here. See, now this is where it was doing the refresh this time. That's the problem I had last time. So let's go back over here again, and we should hopefully see suggestion. If not, I may have called it something else. I have a backup plan if it's not here. All right, that was suggestion. Where are you? I know I saw it. I see suggested card template. That is not it. All right, no problem. We'll go back to our backup plan. I must not have saved the entity completely in the other screen here yet, or published it out. So that's what's probably the case, is I haven't published it fully out there. So no worries. We'll go over and it's right there. That was a different suggestion. That was a suggestion. That was a suggestion template, I think it was called. For those that are, all right, suggestion. Okay. Oh, there it is. Duh. All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you. A few people said it was right there, and they were absolutely right. It was there. All right. Next, I'll go ahead and select the form I want to show. I only have one form right now. It's my informational form, and I can hit the edit button to actually edit that. It's going to insert new data. Thank you very much, by the way. And when they successfully do it, I'll go ahead and put a successful message, or I can redirect them to a new URL or a new web page. I'll just say, thanks so much. We'll keep it simple for the time being. And then I'll give it a form name. So we'll say add suggestion. Now this form name is not the same as the form that you saw before. This form name is isolated to Power Apps portals. So that's why we're giving it a new name. That's why we see the add new. So if I created another form on a different page, we would see this one here as suggestion as a new existing one, and it would have access to all the success message, the failure messages, and all those kind of things. So with that now done, let me go ahead and click outside of that. And there's much more advanced settings here too, how you want to handle certain things. So at this point, I should now be able to hopefully see that. So if I go back over here and I refresh, and I go to and refresh this again. Okay. I may have not named it properly. I think it's called new page. All right. And hopefully, there we go. All right, so I did not add all the stuff in here, but you get the idea here, right? So you see the suggestions one right here, ready to go. So I can go ahead and give it a good suggestion. Hello world, all right. And feel free to add your own there too, QM5. Now this is under the advanced options that you're seeing right here. Do you want to have things like CAPTCHA codes already integrated? That's fully up to you. I went ahead and had that, and I got that. Thanks so much. And the reason why we saw a new page here versus our proper name is I didn't properly save when I was in the last screen, so that's why I made a little boo-boo there. All right, so we got our data, a form is now in there, and what happens next? Well, if I go back over to make.powerapps, and I look at, let me go back to here again, and I go over to the entity, then we're going to see hopefully our data sitting right there. So I'll go over to our suggestion entity. There we go. It is just running sluggish today. This is not Power Apps. This is unfortunately the webinar makes it a little bit slower. Okay, under data now, under entities, we'll have a much better time finding it this time. We'll see our entity called suggestion. And we'll see there how do we actually integrate that. Okay, come on. And while that's, there it goes. Okay. Okay, now if I scroll down, we'll then see all the way at the very bottom here somewhere. There is our suggestion entity. When I click on it, we'll go to data and we'll see that new row we just added here. So under data here, there is our new row, hopefully, with our hello world up. And I got somebody else here, need route comment to Ron Swanson. So you can see you guys are having a little fun also and adding some extra suggestions in there as well. So of course we would need to add on the name entity, we need to add that back in that form and kind of play around like that, but you get the idea. So we can see a list of all the active suggestions. Next, we would create either a Canvas application or a model-driven application for the employee then to take that and actually do something with it. We can trigger a flow perhaps to trigger an alert that says, hey, a new row's been added. Go ahead and do something with a suggestion, or email Jan or whatever. So with that now done, let's go ahead and see how we can secure this. So I'm going to go back over to Power Apps Portals. And this time I'm going to go to Apps, and you'll see the administration section for this. So if I go over to here, hit the ellipsis button, and I then pick on my settings. And there's two areas for settings here. This is where we can go under the administration. It's where we can go through and reset the portal. We can change the URL, perhaps you want to do that. Under site settings is where the bulk of our work is going to be done, like the authentication providers and those kind of things. So to do this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my developer portal in Facebook. So I'm going to go to developers.facebook.com. Okay. And I'm going to create a new application in Facebook. And what I want to show you here is inside over here in the new oh, where'd it go? Where am I? There it is, site settings. This is my site settings here. And in my site settings, you'll see a list of all the users that have registered. We'll see all the forms that are out there. We'll see that new form we have that we just created a few moments ago. We'll see a list of the users, their roles, all those kind of things. There's my ad suggestion right there we just created. We can create a list of the web pages right here and the list of templates. So all that code is available for you to modify here. So you can tweak that code once. We can go in here and actually see all the templates, all that kind of goodness is right there. But what I was going to show you though is how do we secure this? So over in settings here, actually site settings, excuse me, under site settings, website bindings, by the way, is where you can actually specify what you want the URL to look like. Now, you'll see here authentication providers. We have a whole slew of authentication providers. So if I go over to Starter Portal here and I hit sign in, right now we're going to see Azure AD. That's the one that's out of the box. And then we can, of course, create an internal one as well. We also have invitations we can send out to our citizens, and they can basically sign in that way. And basically kind of, you could export a list and send them all en masse an invite. In my case, though, what I want to do is I want to create a Facebook integration. So I'll go to My Apps, and I am going to create a brand new app. This takes just a few seconds to do. I'll call this app Pawnee Parks and Rec site. And I misspelled that, but that's okay. And we'll hit Create App. I'm going to get a URL that I'm going to use in a second here. So I'm getting that on the other screen while that's creating. Oh, I just got to make sure I'm not a robot. I always think it's funny that the robot is asking me if I'm a robot or not. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and say I'm not a robot. Now this works for Facebook, for LinkedIn, and for Twitter, are like the core ones you'll see right now. There are actually some other ones in there too, but you have it's getting you closer to single sign-on ultimately. So really simple step for Facebook here. We're going to go ahead and integrate the Facebook login. Okay. And there's a confirm button. Excuse me, I missed the confirm button. They've just changed this recently. This screen didn't exist a couple of weeks ago. All right, then there's only 2 steps we have to do here. We're gonna go to Facebook logins, and we are going to go over to settings and wait for 15 minutes for it to refresh. All right. The first piece, this is the most important part for Facebook. The other ones I find are a lot easier. Facebook, though, requires that you have this URL that you see right here, and it's a little tricky. It took me a long time to find this URL. It was buried in Microsoft Documents a little bit deeper, and once you find it, you can't unfind it. But at first, it was not especially obvious. So you put your portal's URL /signin-Facebook. This is basically whenever I authenticate, it's going to route me back to that page and pass the information back to that page. So just a heads up, that's what we're wanting to do in that case. And then we can go through and there we go. We'll save that change. And the last thing we have to do is go back over to settings. So far pretty easy, but it seems really easy, right? But it took that one URL and a few other things here. Took me a long time to figure out, unfortunately. The last step is we want to give it a good URL. Sorry, not there we go, under basic here. We have to give it a privacy policy. We can't go live until we have our privacy policy set. So let me go ahead and do that real quick. It's under basic here. I'll just go ahead and put my URL in. I'll just make up one right now. Of course, you would not want to make up one like I'm doing right now. And then you'll notice up top, it's giving me an app ID. So this is app ID right here. This app ID is going to go inside of my site settings. We'll see, as I scroll down, authentication, and there's Twitter, there's Microsoft, there's LinkedIn, and there's Facebook up top here. So there's my app ID right there. Let's go ahead and paste that in. All right, let's go ahead and paste that value in, hit the save button. And you'll see, but it's kind of the bottom right here. It's kind of a little bit obfuscated there, a little out of your way. Next, I'll do one more thing. Let me go back and actually get that ID that I need. That ID, you'll see. Oh, it's in the screen here. There we go. Let me go ahead and go live now. All right. You must provide a privacy policy because I forgot to hit save. I have a common problem with me today, not hitting save. And you'll see app secret. Now, don't use this app secret in your case. This is being recorded. Because it is going to be reset as soon as the webinar is over here. So just a heads up. I'm going to go over to App Secret though, and once it finishes saving, it's taking a lot longer than it normally takes. Okay. And then I'll go live. Come on. There it goes. Going live now. And now people can find my interesting app here. I pick it I want to go ahead and use this for business and pages. Hit confirm, asking why I want to use this. And then I'm going to show this app secret. Again, this is like almost like a password for this. Oh, come on. All right, I am now live now. So back over here, I'm waiting for that app secret to light up. There it is. I'm going to show it. Okay, it's going to ask for a password. Again, don't use this app secret because it will not work as of today. But let me go ahead after an hour after this at least. You can copy this. And then I'll go back over to here one more time and go to site settings and check this out. When I go over here, paste this app secret in. Come on. Paste this app secret in and then hit save. Now, if I go back over to my sign-in screen and hit refresh, sometimes it takes a few seconds to refresh this. Because it has to kind of get all the providers all cached up again. And as soon as I hit refresh, the first time might take about 30 seconds. After that, it's absolutely fine. You'll see the new Facebook icon right over here next to it. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up in an incognito window so we can kind of play as if I'm an unregistered user like you guys. All right, now if I go over here, hit my Facebook account, It's going to ask that I sign in. I'll put my junk account in here. Okay, hopefully that's it. And I think this password should work. We'll see. Let's see if that works. Okay, it's going to route me back. Oh, nope. That was not the password. All right. But I was using it 100 times a day, and now it's going to fail me. Now it's going to route me back, continue to use this. We, of course, see our logo up here if we had a logo. It's going to route back. And now what's happening is it's creating a user inside of our account. I already have a Brian at Pragmatic Works in there. I'll just put whatever, just to kind of mess it up a little bit here. And as soon as I do that, I will get my profile now in here. So I can put my citizen in here, citizen Manchild. There we go. And I then can hit save. And it has things like making sure the person is all working and all. And now I can put my suggestion in here. So I'll put my suggestion, and we'll see that now in place as well. PAA2G. All right, cool. So now I log the fact that Brian Manchild has done this. Now I can do extra security built in this as well. So you'll find that if I go back to site settings, okay, there we are. If I go back to site settings, we'll then see that under contacts, we'll see our new users now created in here. Now we're not seeing it right here because I'm looking at active contacts, but if I go to my unapproved contacts or all contacts, we'll see our new guys in here. So we have Citizen Manchild right there. So we're able to see here how to quickly kind of knock these out. I'm actually seeing a few of you guys in here as well. Shark Lasers, I like it, in here as well. So we got a whole bunch of cool users. Now we can actually put those users into roles and allow them to do different things on our site. So the question I always get asked, actually questions, not a whole lot of questions coming in yet, so feel free to ask them anytime, guys. The question I always get asked is how do I lock down that page? We have to be authenticated. Well, the way you can do that is you'll see under roles here, web roles. We can go through and actually create a role saying authenticated users, or like we have right here, or a test role, or whatever. Oh, I do have some questions actually. I haven't scrolled down here. Can Microsoft Forms be used instead of Power Apps Forms? Yes, it can be done through an iframe in that case, or an embed code. So you could use that if you wanted to as well. It's authenticating with OAuth allow your users to get to access. Yes, you can access your organization's AAD all built into it. So that does give you the ability. So if I were to go over here, you'll see that right now. Actually, if I were to create a new role, and there we go. Let's call this my new role for webinar. Okay, I'll go ahead and save this role. As soon as I hit save, it's going to light up some extra stuff here. Oh, website's required. This is my portal name. There it is. Starter portal. Okay. Once I save this, we'll then see the related tab opens up. This is where I'll go to my users, and we'll see the roles, my AD here, and we'll also see some of the accounts that you guys created also. So if I add an existing user into this role, and we can build rules around automatically adding people, I'll go ahead and search for Brian, for example. Okay, there we are. There's Brian. And we can search for other things in here also, but you get the idea. So we can promote them into users, and when I hit add, Brian is now part of this new role. Now, how do we go forward from there? There's a whole bunch of stuff around this, by the way. I'm giving a really high-level piece of this stuff. Now, and what you saw there is my Active Directory, by the way, and it's merged with some external users also. So now if I go over to my web pages, we can lock down that web page this way. So if I think I call that one new page, I believe. New page, I can't remember if it's one or if there it is. I see register keyword right there. So this is my page under web pages. And we'll see all the style sheet information inside of this, all that kind of stuff we can see here. A little bit lower down, what language it's using, do we allow ratings, all those kind of goodies. But we'll also see access control rules. So when I select that, there we go. We can specify who can actually access this site. And we'll be able to go in here and go to related here, and we can see, oh, all right. Access control rules are actually, I already have it open right now. Anyways, what we can do then is we can add certain roles into this, and that's when it will hide the page from you guys and show the page for me. If I go into here, we'll be able to see what web roles do we want to allow access to this page. I'll call this just my new rule. I'm not worried about my spelling right now, as you can see. I'm going to go ahead and start a portal again. I'm locking in new page 1. And what right do I want to give? I want to restrict the reading rights. And I can say what content can I see and all that. And then I can go over to web roles and say, well, who can do the opposite of that, basically? So then I need to save first. And then after I save, we'll then see add an existing web role. And I'm going to add my citizen influencer role, or my new web role for webinar. There we go. And hit add. Okay, this is a deep topic, as you mentioned. It's probably me a whole webinar just securing this bad boy. But now that I've done that, and I go back over here again, and I go to my sample pages, likely new page, when I hit refresh, is not found. Because this user that I'm in, Brian at Pragmatic Works, is not actually a user of that. So now for all my users that are on the audience now, you can't see that URL that we had before. But if I authenticated in with my B9 at Pragmatic Works, you can see it. So it allows you to, it's kind of the basics of being able to see different sites and different pages. There's a lot more to this, as you can imagine, but it does have that granular security built into it. With that now done, let's go back to our slides again. This is a longer demo than I expected. Sorry about that. All right, let me go back to my slide. Right, oh, I hit from beginning, from current slide. Oh well. Okay. There we go. All right, that's all right, no worries. So again, my email address is on the screen right now, b9 at Pragmatic Works. And again, if you hopefully enjoyed this presentation, we have a whole slew of them on our, that's okay, it's being a little stubborn right now. We have a whole slew of these on our YouTube channel. And we also have a service we can build apps for you guys also. So if you don't have the time to build these apps or you want us to build them, we have training around Power Apps as well. So we can do as little as 20 hours a month for fractional development. And again, my email address is b9 at Pragmatic Works. I'm only down to my last 2 minutes here, so I'll see if there's any kind of questions. Looks like I think I've answered most of them during the session. And I'm not seeing any more questions, looks like. So I think we're good now. Well, thank you guys so much for attending today. I hopefully enjoyed this. It's a very early preview of Power Apps for portals, excuse me, and how it can allow your external users to input data into your CDS environment. If you have any questions, please do email them afterwards. But thank you so much for joining us today, and have a great day. Goodbye.